On this episode of Crystal Uncorked, we are talking about 3 entrepreneurial lessons to help take your business to the next level. And even if you're not an entrepreneur, I think you're going to find value in these tips today. I have had my business for over 8 years. I've been profitable every single year, no debt, have been able to go on some pretty amazing trips and do some cool stuff with my business. And I'm going to share the 3 things that I know that have helped me do that. Hello, I'm Crystal Vilkaitis. I'm a curious, wine-loving entrepreneur who loves to learn and have open and honest conversations. Join me and my amazing guests as we talk about all sorts of relatable business and life stuff. It's my goal that you'll have fun, learn something new, and get inspired. Wine is not required, but is recommended. This is Crystal Uncorked. Let's talk about what kind of wine I'm drinking because I'm drinking white. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? This is a freaking good wine. You guys, we are drinking Dove Hunt Dog. And this is a 2020 Chardonnay. It was a gift from Kathy Wagner of Retail Mavens. A shout out. Go check her out on Instagram, Retail Mavens. This is Stella or Scout and Cellar. Scout and Cellar. It's like a very clean wine. This guy is so smooth, so refreshing, citrusy. I'm not a big white wine drinker. I really love the bold reds, but this is so good. So, cheers. Oh man, so good, so refreshing. It's like summer day, which is so the weather we're having in Southern California. Even though I'm in my turtleneck, it's very nice outside. I sat out there for lunch and was sweating. It was very hot. I should have changed, but I didn't. So we are talking about the 3 lessons that I've learned. And like I said, I really believe that these are the things that has helped me be in business today. Like, what is the recent stat? 95% of small businesses don't make it past the first 5 years, right? That's crazy town, USA. It's crazy. So I've had my business for over 8 years, and there are 3 things that we'll talk about today. So let's dive in. The first one is building your team and having an integrator on your team. This one's big. I have a very small team. There are 6 of us right now, full time, very small. But I brought on, when I started my business in 2012, I brought on a part-time contractor in 2013, like very soon after starting the business. It was like the stars aligned. A friend of mine, Pauline, was available. She was doing some social media stuff for another business. She had some questions. I gave her access to my membership website where I taught social media through Crystal Media. And she started to learn, and I was wondering if she had more time available and maybe wanted to help me out and manage some client social media. So thankfully, she said yes. She dove in, she went through the training, and she hasn't left me since. She's been with me since 2013. I'm so incredibly lucky. And here's why. Really, when I say the stars aligned, I believe this because that was in 2013. I was very slow to bring on people on payroll. It took me a few years to really feel comfortable to have like full-time employees that have a salary, that have benefits. I was really fearful about being able to pay my people. There's risk in that. What if I can't meet our sales goals and I can't pay them? And so the first few years of like bringing on team members were really stressful for me. I think every business owner goes through that, probably most, I don't know, but I definitely went through it. The thing is that like most entrepreneurs, I wish I would have hired sooner. I wish that I would have got Pauline in the role that she's in today sooner and we built the team, but I also like to just trust the process, trust the timing. It all worked out how it was supposed to, but I definitely could have grown faster if I would have built my team faster. And that's what you'll hear at a lot of business conferences of people saying, build your team as fast as you can. So I so believe you've got to build your team. I love the quote, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And there is no way my business would be here today without my team. Now, there's like a two-parter in this lesson, right? Team, build your team, and have an integrator. And this is critical to my success. So I talk to a lot of different business owners, and I have a lot of entrepreneur friends, and then we work with retailers at Crystal Media. And anytime I hear an entrepreneur talk about being really stressed, like they have too much to do, how do you get it all done? Or they're losing some enthusiasm because they're in so much of the day-to-day of their business, or they're just feeling like they've plateaued and can't really go further, I always ask, do you have an integrator? And if they've never read the book Rocket Fuel or gone through EOS, then they say no. And so here's where this all came about for me. About in that first year that Pauline and I were working together, I'll never forget this meeting. We were working out of my home office in Temecula. We were upstairs in a bedroom that I turned into an office. And we were kind of butting heads. We were disagreeing and we were frustrated with each other. And she just said to me, "You're not a good manager." And I felt like I was attacked in that moment. She was not attacking me at all, but I felt, because I was so shocked. I couldn't believe that she was saying that. I had no idea. We like to believe that we're really amazing, right? Like we like to believe the good in ourselves typically, and that we're doing a good job. And I didn't know what I didn't know. Like, I'm just trying to do what I know what to do. And there was a clear breakdown in my management style and her being able to be supported and really grow in her role. And for me, I'm somebody that I'm like, just throw people into the fire, figure it out. You'll learn through experience. Let's go. And that doesn't always work. Often people need some training, they need systems and processes, and they need that time to really build them into an amazing A-player person. Especially when you're starting out, you can't always hire A people, right? Like a lot of, I've heard a lot of business podcasts say, get A players, get A players. I agree with that. If you can get an A player, get them. But when you're first starting out and it's like your first hire, you might not have that budget to get an A player. So you need that time to coach and make them become great in that role. And Pauline, this was a whole new role for her. She switched gears. She was in the same industry, but she was doing something entirely new. So she needed some training to make her great. And I was not showing up for her. I was not being a good manager. So that was a hard pill for me to swallow. I actually felt really sad about it. It took me some time to understand that what she was saying and understand what was going on. Because I grew up watching my dad work in his job where he was always treated like crap. And I never wanted to have that. And that was such a big driver for me to want to start my own business. Is I wanted to create a place where I could actually hire my parents, because I wanted to give them good, fair jobs. I started a social media company, and my dad doesn't even have a cell phone, so it's tough for him to work in this company. So I'm just trying to build it so I can help retire him. But he had really bad managers, and I got this fear of, oh my God, am I being like that? Because I want to create this amazing culture. I want people to feel comfortable. I want them to grow. I want it to be fun and fair and everything, right? And just full of love, to be honest. And the thing is that I later realized is that Pauline felt comfortable enough to tell me that. So I did create that culture with her, but I was not there for her how she needed me to be, because I wasn't a good manager. And one day I was driving in my car listening to a podcast, and the host was talking about a book called Rocket Fuel. And Rocket Fuel is all about the visionary in the company and the integrator. And you have to have both, ideally. This is typically the best way that it works. The visionary sees the vision. They future cast. They know where we're going, right? They have the big ideas, the goal setting. There could be some business development, and they can also help create the culture of the business. The integrator makes sure shit gets done, right? Make sure that the visionaries' visions come to life. And I all of a sudden realized I don't have an integrator. I should not be the integrator. I am so the visionary, and I love being the visionary, and I'm really getting tied down in integrator stuff, and I suck at it. So it was a clear aha that Pauline needs to be my integrator, because thankfully she is an incredible manager. I got really lucky there. She's very good with people, with processes, with managing. She's patient. She is perfect as an integrator. So it took us, to be transparent, it took us 1.5 years to fully get in those roles. For me to really let go, for her to really step into that. And she was doing a lot of client work, so we had to get her out of that in order to step into the integrator. But that was one of the best decisions I've ever done for my business, because it made me happier. It allowed for me to do more of what I enjoy doing. It got me out of being a bottleneck in the business, which so happens. And then it made my team happier. I'm not this like crazy person running around that's awful, but I'm not this great manager. Give the people a great manager and see what they can do. And I can so be a part of this with the vision. It all works together. It's like a puzzle. It all works together. So if I didn't do that, I think that burnout would have happened. It did happen, but I don't, how can you come back from that? Like really being able to keep going. So I am so incredibly thankful. I will tell you that I talk to a lot of different business owners, and I can tell they are not good managers. They'll talk about their employees they'll just talk bad about their employees, and the employees are doing everything wrong in their opinion. And I just keep thinking, so how are you showing up for them? Right? Like, are you really frustrated with them, but they're really frustrated with you? And there's a good chance that you're not in the right role, business owner. You should not be managing. You need that buffer person. You need that person to do the day-to-day, and I think everybody would be happier. So build the team. You cannot go alone if you want to go far. And make sure on your team you have an integrator, and read Rocket Fuel. It'll change your business. It changed mine, changed my life, must do. So number 2, you got to have a mentor and or coaches or coaching programs. You've got to invest in yourself. It is critical that you invest in yourself. So I also got very lucky. I got lucky with Pauline, and then I got really lucky with my mentor. Oh, I feel like I'm going to cry. I feel emotional. Thankfully, my mentor is going to be a guest on the podcast in a couple of weeks. You're going to love her. I think the same year, 2013, I was speaking at a jeweler conference in Atlanta, and there was another speaker there. Her name is Patricia Norins, and we had some time to chat. I think I emailed her ahead of time being like, I'd love to meet you in person and sit down and chat. She had a couple of publications in the industry and taught marketing, and was just really just somebody I was so attracted to. Like, I felt like she is a powerful businesswoman, and I want to learn from her and get to know her. So we sat down at this show, and she asked me, how big's your list? Like, she started just going into some coaching with me, and she's like, how big's your email list? And I was like, I have 50 people. And she's like, okay, you got to grow your list. You got to start there. Like, she just so jumped in to giving me advice for my business. And at this point, it wasn't even 1 year old yet. And I so appreciated it. I walked away. My mind was blown that I reached out to her when I got home, and I said, any interest in mentoring? If you don't, I totally understand. But I will work hard. I will show up. I would just be so honored. She said yes, which I'm so grateful for. And on our first call, she asked me, so what's your budget? What? What do you mean, my budget? Like, so how much I spend? Yeah, how much are you spending a month? Where is all that going? How much money do you think you're going to bring in this month? How much money do you have in the bank? And I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of can ballpark stuff. It's in my head. So the first thing she had me do is create a spreadsheet of all my projected revenue and expenses at the end of the month. I then say, what was the actual? what was the percentage? How far was I off? And then you keep planning, right? I have used that spreadsheet ever since. And I truly believe, whoa, did you hear that whistle? That was a major whistle. I hope that the mic picked that up. Truly believed that that is the reason that I've been profitable every single year, is because I knew my fucking numbers. I bought the URL, know your fucking numbers, and know your effing numbers. Maybe I just have knowyoureffingnumbers.com because I was so passionate about this that I thought I would write a book or start some kind of training about knowing your numbers, because it's critical to my business. And what I started realizing as I was going to different conferences is that a lot of other entrepreneurs didn't know their numbers. And I think that a lot of us, this happens from a business perspective standpoint, as well as just being a human perspective with our personal finances, is sometimes knowing the money that's going out can be stressful. So we don't monitor it. We don't address it. We don't stay on top of it. We just let stuff come into our mailbox. And then we're like, oh, I'll get to it. And we postpone, and then stuff gets paid late, and then all sorts of problems happen, right? So I knew my numbers, and the other thing that really helped me was Patricia said, you've got to celebrate writing big checks. I had a big tax bill. I made some money. I didn't pay any taxes. Now I owe money, right? I owed like $22,000 or something. So I was like, okay, you know, I'm paying some people, and I'm paying for myself, and I'm paying for to operate this business. And now I have a $22,000 tax bill. And she's like, celebrate that. You know, when you are writing that check, you celebrate, you get excited. And ever since, when I write checks that are 10,000 or above, and even lower than that, like 5,000 or above, I am like, woohoo. And I say, there's more where that came from. I just get excited, and I turn that ritual, because I felt that way of stress, of bills coming in. I'll look at it next week, and I'm like, no, I'm not bringing that into my business. I am a businesswoman. I will pay my shit. I will handle it. And I got a little rap song going on, and then I'll monitor and track and see where I'm doing. And if I had a down month because I had budgets, if I had a down month, then what am I doing next month to make up for that? Or maybe my expenses were lower, so that was okay, but what are we doing? I mean, it's been such a game changer for my business to know those things. A seasoned business professional is like, duh, this is so obvious. I think from a startup perspective, they don't teach this shit all the time, right? And a lot of us are just like, I've got an idea. I'm a creative, passionate person. I'm going to start a business. And then you don't know those things. So I can't stress enough to know your numbers, and track that and love them and celebrate writing big checks. And then that goes back to having the mentor. So Patricia and I are going to talk about all sorts of stuff on a coming episode 6, I believe. So tune in. She's brilliant. She's got such a great marketing mind. She works with her husband. So there's a whole dynamic there that we're going to talk about. Very inspiring person. I can't wait to have her on the show. I've also had a few coaches, and one of those is Paul De La Garza, which is my best friend's father. So here I luck out. I have an amazing best friend. And then she's got this amazing dad who coaches business owners, who has coached myself as well as Dustin. He's just so incredible. And Paul taught me something that changed the way I look at my speaking career forever. So we were having a call in 2014. Thankfully, it was earlier on in my speaking career. And I got booked for this gig, and we're talking about it, and I'm kind of getting like nervous and anxious, and I'm like, I have the biggest gig coming up. And he's like, well, what makes it the biggest gig? And I'm like, well, they're paying me $10,000, and I've never made that much for speaking before for 2 days. And he's like, okay, so it makes it the biggest gig because it's $10,000. So I'm like, yeah. And part of me was like, my ego was so thinking he was going to be really impressed that I said $10,000 for 2 days. It's not even about that, people. It's not even about that. He goes, couldn't your biggest speaking gig be in front of 5 people and it be for free? And I thought about that. And my mind was blown because what factors into being big? 10K, and trust me, happy to have the 10K. That is a great speaker fee. Happy to have that. But if I am speaking to a group of just 5 people for free and I fucking change someone's life, that's impactful. That's pretty big, right? That's pretty big. That's a big speaking gig. So I am so thankful, like I said, that I learned this earlier on because I have shown up to speak and I'll do all sorts. I'm a keynote, I do breakout. And so for conferences, when there's breakout sessions, people can decide what room they're going to go into. And I've had rooms where there's only been a couple of people, and I've spoke at conferences and gift shows that have been really quiet, like nobody attended the gift show. And so I'm a speaker, so like 2 people are in my audience. And what I think to myself, instead of being like bummed that nobody's there, oh, I waste all my time to be here, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I don't really have that big of an audience to get their email list or to sell to. No. You think to yourself, if I can change one person's, I don't even have to change their life. If I can teach somebody today, one person today, something that is really valuable to them, that's going to make a difference in their business, that's pretty cool. I get the opportunity to do that today. And so with that mindset, I can go into a room of just 2 people and have the same kind of energy as I do for a stage of 1,000 people. And I will tell you, I spoke on a stage of 1,000 people and I was feeling really nervous. And I thought to myself, it doesn't matter that there's 1,000 people here. It just matters if I can just maybe make one person feel inspired or learn something new, right? If I could just, one person out of 1,000, can I do that? I think I could do that. Cool. It really helps calm my nerves, bring the energy, and put the level of what matters, if that even makes sense, put what matters into front focus here, right? Of making an impact and helping. That's why I do what I do. I'm so thankful to Paul and that tip that he gave me. Finally, from a coaching perspective, mentors coaching, I've been in some group coaching, really recommend that. The one that I'm in right now is called Strategic Coach by Dan Sullivan, and a retailer of mine, actually a past client of mine, Frank with Anna's Flowers, he was like, you gotta join Strategic Coach. He kept hammering me about it, and I was like, I'm in this other thing. I don't want to pay additional money. I'm gonna wait. I got out of that other thing, joined Coach, one of the best decisions, because they focus on thinking about your thinking as an entrepreneur. When do you ever take time to think about your thinking? Probably not often. We're so busy doing, right? I mentioned that in a previous episode. We're so caught up in everything in our lives, and running a business is a lot and it takes a lot of time, that we don't always think about our thinking. And so I love that. It helps you get really strategic, smart, specific. There's great tools for you and your team. And hands down, it's been worth the investment in myself, in my team, going through Strategic Coach. So I just really believe in coaching, coaches, mentors. All right, let's go to 3 after I take a sip of this wine. And actually, going back to coaches, if you are a retailer, Crystal Media, my business, can coach you. We've got online training. We have a membership program called our Insiders. We would love to have you as an insider. I have a team of experts. We have new content that comes out every single month. If you need support, we are there for you. Plus, it's a community of other retailers just like you. So if you are looking for a place amongst your peers where you want to learn and really level up your social media, we can help you. Go to crystalmediaco.com/insiders, and I'll link to it in the show notes as well. We'd love to have you be a part of our community. Okay, number 3, you ready? This is a good one. I mean, they're all good, but this one hits me a little bit in the heart. Number 3 is giving. One of the best ways I have built my business is just giving. Give value, show up for your people. Don't give expecting anything in return. Like, you need to truly give because you want to give, because you want to help. At Crystal Media, our motto, our like live and die by is we're happy to help. That's how we feel about the team. That's how we feel about our clients. That's how we feel about our insider members. That's how we feel about non-paying people. If you need help, you're stuck, especially we teach social media, which can be so annoying. It can be so frustrating because it changes all the time and you feel like you spend a ton of time and then nobody likes your stuff and whatever. There's like a million things we could talk about with social media. So it can feel really vulnerable and frustrating. We are happy to help. We got you. When we give, we always get. One of my favorite books, and I really hope that you'll read this book and Rocket Fuel, is called The Go-Giver. Paul De La Garza, my coach that I talked about, I learned about that book from him. And it's about this hungry businessman who wants to make a sales goal. And he finds this mentor that he asks to learn from. And this mentor connects him to 5 business people who just give. And they teach him these 5 laws of success. And it sounds so simple, and it is, but so many people don't do it. We get really caught up in like having the most sales and hitting certain quotas and being competitive and all sorts of things that we sometimes can forget about the heart of it all, of just giving and helping. And I'll tell you, this is such an interesting story. So a couple years ago, I was just feeling really down. Like I was just in a funk and I was tired of feeling that way. So I was sitting in my bed and I thought, what can I do to get myself out of this? What do I like? What gives me joy? When am I feeling really good? And I'm like, when I'm helping our retailers and they're like, oh, that was so helpful. Thank you. And I'm like, okay, how can I do that the fastest way? So I went into my office, I opened up my computer, I went to our Facebook group for our insider members, and I posted, for the first 20 people that respond to this post with your Facebook and Instagram handles, I will give you a free review. And that basically means that I do a video review on what they're doing and I give free advice. Man, that 20 filled up fast. I had 20 people who were like, me, oh my gosh, me. So I went through 20. It happened. I said, all right, I'll take anybody else that comments on this. So I did those. Then I went to my team, Pauline, and because she works with the team, and I said, I think we should open this up to more. Like, this is just, people are finding these so helpful. This is really rewarding. Let's do it. So we sent out an email to another group of people saying, hey, for the first 20 people, this is what I'm going to do for you. We had a great response. There was over 80 people that wanted me to do a review for them, and I couldn't say no. So I did over 80 reviews. It was I think it was May 2018 or 2019. I'm not sure, but I remember it being May. And I remember just doing so many reviews. I mean, these reviews are all video based and I do my research ahead of time and then I film and then I send a follow-up email. So they take me about 30 to 45 minutes per. So I don't know how many minutes that is. You can calculate times 80. I was busy doing those. But it totally got me out of my funk. I was giving, and these responses back from people were like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for doing this. I can't believe this was free. I didn't charge anything. I was just like, hey, here's what's going on. This is what I would do if I was you. If I saw an opportunity for us to help them, then I would link to our service or our product, but it was not a hard sell. I would link to it, and that was it. Well, from doing that, we had our best month in sales that we've ever had up until that point. So it was about 6 years without going on the road, without being at a show. So we get a lot of our business when I speak. I didn't speak. I didn't have to travel anywhere. I did these reviews for about 80 people and we had our best sales because people were buying from my videos, because if we could help them, I linked to it, but you don't have to buy, but just I see an opportunity. But there was so much value in these videos that they felt thankful and they wanted to go further And it was awesome. Some of these people that were thanking me and so excited about their review, signed up years later, months later, years later down the road. Some didn't sign up at all, but were like, thank you, thank you, thank you. The whole purpose of this video, of the review, was to give back because I was feeling in a funk. And then it totally gave back to me through sales. It was pretty amazing. So I just so believe when we give in our relationships, like when I go above and beyond, like when I do stuff for Dustin, little stuff even, like if I bring him coffee, if I do the dishes, if I clean the house, if I make us dinner without like bitching about it or saying anything about it, oh, guess who's all of a sudden doing some stuff over here too? Like he just does it because I'm giving without asking for anything. It works in business. It works personally. I can't stress it enough. So those are my 3 tips. Build your team and have an integrator on your team. Have a mentor and or coach and or join coaching programs of your people that can really push you to be better and push you outside of your comfort levels. And third, give. Just give. Give in your personal life and your business. It is what our world needs, I think, a lot, especially right now. So next week's episode is about being bold. Unlike my wine is white. It is not bold, but it is delicious. Love this wine. I hope you check it out. But we are talking about being bold, confidence. We're talking about my favorite topic. I love, love, love talking about confidence. I truly love it. There's so much that we could talk about, but I've got some really fun, cool stories to share with you. Some tips for building confidence and helping spark it in other people, which I think is so important. Another thing the world needs. It's just that support and love, right? All right. So if you haven't done so already, camera over here, I'm looking at you. If you're watching YouTube, if you're listening to the audio, you can't see me, but please subscribe to the show on YouTube or on whatever podcast player and leave a review. If you could leave a review, that would be amazing. It really helps new shows like mine get discovered. And I want to know what you're enjoying about the show. So please leave a review and subscribe. And if you have any friends that like wine and like talking about love and business and all sorts of fun stuff like that, then tell them about Crystal Uncorked. I would love to have them be a part of this community. All right. Thank you so much for being a part of today's show and a part of this world. And I will see you on the next See You, where we're talking about confidence. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening. Are you on Instagram? I'd love to see pictures of you listening to the show, a screenshot of your favorite episode, and or your favorite wines. Share them with me. Just follow and tag @Crystal Uncorked. I can't wait to see you there. All right, I'll see you on the next See You.